So, time is being turned back. Yeah. The gutting of the Civil Rights Act, well on its way. Our nation hates history. We always want to cherry pick history. You know, World War II, 9/11, Christopher Columbus. We want to cherry pick history, but we don't want to really look too deeply. This right here. This is where the Civil Rights Act came from. These young men, I'm sure they're still alive, probably in their 70s, but they're still alive because this was the early 1960s. And let's be clear, it's not just the Caucasian men. We tend to overlook the fact that white women were slave owners. Sometimes their husband gained financial stability because of their dowry of how many slaves came along with her when they got married. But we don't want to think about that. That was so long ago. But we said this was going to happen when they overturned Roe v. Wade. The right to privacy, the right to control of your own body. Yeah. And we knew this was coming next. And it did. Yeah. Here's the danger. So you took away a woman's right to make a private medical decision by threatening the doctors, or even for a husband and wife to make a private medical decision. And now you've decided there's no such thing as anyone's civil rights being denied, even though that was firmly decided after I was born. Because you see, when I was born, when I was a small child, there was still those white water fountains, black water fountains, white toilets, black toilets. You didn't go to the front door, you went to the back door. There was a wonderful little diner about 20 minutes away from where I was at 6 years old, 5 years old. We would call and order a burger, and they'd make it and they'd wrap it in wax paper. But you went to the back door to pick it up. And I'm still alive, and I still remember that bullshittery. But you've got Trump running around talking about white people were being treated very badly under the Civil Rights Act. You mean badly like when your daddy and you put C on applications for apartments? C for coloreds, because you didn't want to rent to them? You mean that kind of treated very badly? Yeah. You mean you taking out a whole damn ad for those young black men that they should be executed, that you should bring back executions? And then later they were proven that they were not guilty. How would you have covered? Oh, that's right. You still don't apologize for that. What was it you said? I'm sure they did something. 5 young men who had no criminal background, but you were sure they did something where they should be in jail. Yeah. This is America. It's embarrassing. It's disgusting. America has always had bumps, lumps. But the problem is the lack of ability to identify them and try to fix them. Because we are a nation that tends to take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And all the while act as if we don't know what the hell is happening. We have concentration camps in this nation right now. We want to call them processing centers. But my question again and again is, if they're processing center, why are you building so many but not hiring people to actually process people? Why are you not hiring judges for them to be processed? Yeah, that right there. But unfortunately, my fellow Americans sometimes don't put one and one together. They come up with 6 because it would be too uncomfortable to acknowledge. Oh my, that's really a very dark thing. That's something we shouldn't be doing, but we don't want to admit that. Yeah, that right there. Yeah. Destroying the Civil Rights Act. I suggest that you do a little research, my friends. That Civil Rights Act helped women in so many levels. Actually, it was tied to Roe v. Wade because they should be treated as equals. And their physical exams or whatever goes on, their private business is private. And that's where HIPAA came from, the Civil Rights Act, which helped everyone. It helped to support women. It also helped the LGBTQIA community, because eventually it was said you should have a right to marry whoever you love. And no one should tell you that same-sex marriage should not be a thing, because they're not the ones getting married, you are. But some groups have gotten a little too comfortable. And every time I hear them say, that will never happen, they need to refer back to Roe v. Wade. That will never happen. And they can refer back to the Civil Rights Amendment. That will never be reversed, because here it is. How soon before they say those with mental or physical disabilities who had a right to equal rights, to civil rights, they're not entitled to it anymore. How soon before they say that? Because I hear it coming, just as I heard this coming when Roe v. Wade fell. You don't need to be out there walking around in knockoff costumes of The Handmaid's Tale. You need to be in the streets. You need to be raising hell. You need to be putting the fear of you work for me into every single politician. But you're not. You're holding a No Kings rally. Not a fight for democracy rally. I suggest many of our young people get your education, pack up, and leave. Because I think until it gets burned down, it's not going to change. And it's time for the next generation to move on. And make damn sure you make it clear wherever you go. We see what's happening, and that's why we left America, until she gets her shit together.